So years ago, I was in trade school, for the profession I currently work in. And when you're young and you go to trade school and you're away from home, you have a tendency of having a bit more fun than you normally would in the town that you live in. So we ended up going to a strip club, and we had it all set up. We were all trying to be very responsible. We had a designated driver all set up. So everything was supposed to be clear cut. Everything was good to go. Well, our designated driver ends up getting in a fight that night, and he ends up getting the shit kicked out of him. He ends up losing. Of all of us, surprisingly, I was the most sober guy there, which is uncommon in the circles I run in. I'm usually the drunkest, but I ended up being a sober guy there. So I decide, okay, I'm going to drink club soda, and I'm going to try to be more sober for the rest of the night, and I'm going to drive everyone home. Well, one of my buddies ends up picking up a stripper, and so I'm sitting there in a 1993 Pontiac Sunbird with 4 guys and 1 girl. It's a two-door, so that explains how cramped they are. But I had this thing actually pretty highly modified. So I'm driving back, probably a little bit buzzed, but I'm still clearly okay to drive. Pretty sure if I get pulled over that I can talk to the officer without any slurring of the voice or anything like that. So pretty sure I go with that. So I'm driving down, I forget the name of the street, but I know it's 60 kilometer an hour zone. And I was doing about 80, but at 2 o'clock in the morning, if you're doing 10 over, they're gonna pull you over. So sure enough, cop pulls out, puts the lights on. He's still a little ways back, but I go to pull over. And the girl that the one guy picked up, who's a stripper, says she has a pound of pot in the shoebox she had. I assumed it was fucking shoes. It was not. And I decide that because this is in my car, that this is not going to roll well for me, and I can't talk myself out of the situation, so I decide to run. So in the town I am in, which is a border town, they go pretty crazy when you run from police. And next thing I know, I have about 7 cars coming after me. So this is a bad situation, and I don't know what to do. If I hit the main streets, they're kind of catching up. I hit the side streets, I can kind of get away. But eventually, it all ends back to a main street, and I'm eventually going to get caught here. This is not good. One of my buddies, John, in the back seat, who was actually a native of that town, he gets me to give him my cell phone. Back then, not a lot of people had cell phones. That's a different time. So I give him the cell phone. He ends up calling one of his buddies. Mind you, I had no idea about this at the time. Now he's telling me, right, left, down that way, go through here, turn there, all this, and then eventually pull into that garage. I find out afterwards he ended up guiding me to one of his friend's house, where his friend ended up pulling the Nissan Pathfinder out of the garage, held the garage door open so we could drive in and he could slam it down behind us, and the cops drove right on by. So, moral of the story is, if there's not a designated driver, just leave the goddamn car there and get a cab home. Or don't let your buddies bring strippers with shoeboxes into your car.